So we're going to fix a steering wobble problem today. This is a 1981 Hondamatic CM400 A. And where we're going to do it is below here, there are two bushings. We're going to replace them with these new ones. So here we are underneath, and you can see that the bolt has a cotter pin through it, and it's got a nut right there. We're going to have to take this nut off, and then what's going to happen is the handlebars will pull straight up. We'll probably have some friction because there's a lower bushing that's cone shaped, and there's an upper bushing that's also cone shaped, and that's what keeps the handlebar steady and also minimizes some vibration. So we're going to replace them with new bushings. Step one, get your Needlenose Pliers, remove this cotter pin. So I did get the cotter pin out. This has been in the bike for about 40 years. These are the original bushings. So it took a little bit of doing, mainly just straightening out the prongs. And then I did a lot of pushing. It's hard to reach in and grab the other side to pull. So I ended up grabbing the end on our right and then pushing it once I straightened it out. But it came out without much problem. Next, we're gonna be removing this nut right here. The nut will be a 12mm nut. You can use a socket if it's fairly long. In this case, I'm going to use a ratcheting wrench, which I find super handy. All right, so she's breaking free pretty easily. It was a little bit tight at the beginning, but once that broke, it just broke to finger tight in no time. So I'll do the same on the other side, and then we'll see how hard it is to get this handlebar out. One helpful tip, you might want to go ahead and put it on the whole bike stand here instead of just the kickstand, because it enables you to turn the handlebar in the opposite direction. So I can now turn it to the right to access the other bolt. So you might want to do that first. I'm in the process of taking the nut off of the other bolt, which is now the left bolt. And now we're going to see how hard it is to get the handlebars off the bike. If I pull them straight up, let's see how tight that's going to be. We have to set the camera down for this. As you can see, it's definitely loosened up. So what seems to be working is just rocking the handlebars left to right. One hand on the right, one hand on the left. And instead of rocking them up and down like this, just pull up on the left side, pull up on the right side alternatively, and it seems to be working loose. All right, so I've just pulled the handlebars out. You can see the old upper bushing here. And the bottom bushing on the right side just fell out. The one on the left side, which is really hard to see, is pretty much stuck in there, but I can get it out with my finger, and there it is. So there's the old one. So I'm gonna compare that with the new one here in just a moment. And I'm gonna pull this top one off. Let's see what we're looking at here. So there's the upper. So we've got part number 680. We're about to put that on the upper part of the handlebar. Goes on super easy. And we'll do the same for the other side. And then we'll put this part, 385000, on the bottom of the bolt. And then we'll reassemble. Simple as that. And while we're here, we're going to go ahead and clean off the underside of the handlebar with a little spray cleaner and polish, because when else are you going to do that? All right, handlebars are nice and shiny. Went ahead and cleaned off the top with the triple tree here. And so what I'm going to do now is reinsert this, put the other bushing in the bottom, put the nut back on, and give her a test. All right, one at a time. So this is the bottom bushing. Work that in place. Put that washer, remember the washer, put that back in place and tighten up the nut. So a bit of a tip, go ahead and put both bushings in, left and right, before you do the finger tight. I'm gonna put this washer in because what's gonna happen is you wanna make sure that you tighten them up evenly, and you want the handlebar to be in place in roughly the right riding position, and you know, that lower bushing will help center that. So I'm just gonna do this finger tight. I'm gonna do this with the other side. I'm gonna make sure that they're as even as possible, and I'm gonna tighten them as evenly as possible on the left and right side. So now onto the other side. So here we are on the right side. We're gonna put the washer in place. Finger tighten this nut on the right side. And then we're gonna just do kind of a thread count. Make sure the handlebar is seated properly with roughly the same distance on the left and right side. And I'm gonna check the top bushing here and that distance, and the bottom bushing here. I'm just gonna make sure everything's seated properly, tighten it back up, reinsert cotter pins, and we are done. I'll show you the final product. I wanted to show you where we ended up. It looks like I am 1 or 2 threads above the cotter pin hole. And at this point on both sides, the handlebar is pretty sturdy. It still gives just a little bit because you want some, you know, it is meant to be kind of a vibration dampener, but there is certainly not the play I was seeing before. Like you can see right there, I'm pushing down on the steering, on the handlebar, and it's barely moving. It's just not really moving at all much, but there's still some vibration dampening, so that's what I want, and it is ready to ride once I put cotter pins in. All right, that's it. This is my 1981 Hondamatic, and she's just about ready to hit the road again.